Welcome back. I'm still here with Joel Arbeitman, but he has switched hats. He is now representing the Upper Charles Trail Committee. Joel, thanks for coming back.
Great to be back. It's been a long time.
It has. So we're now going to talk about the Upper Charles Trail Committee, which was just created back in the fall by the Board of Selectmen. Tell the viewers, what is the Upper Charles Trail Committee's charge?
Okay, well, that's a great question. Let me just give a little bit of history about this and then get to the specific mission that we have here in Ashland. The Upper Charles Trail was actually a project started by other towns. Both Milford and Holliston have been working on this for some 15 years or more. It's taken a very long time.
It's been that long?
It has been that long.
Wow.
And they were really the pioneers. You know, we're hoping to be able to take advantage of the momentum that's been created, not just in those two towns, but statewide, to create some enthusiasm for this project. The history is that what they sought to do was to not just build a rail trail in their town, but they're envisioning having roughly a 30-mile loop trail that goes through the towns of Milford, then into Holliston, then into Sherborne, Ashland, Hopkinton, back to Milford in a loop. And roughly 30 miles. You know, the exact route is still being planned, and the exact length of it will probably vary based on the design.
Right.
I got involved, I guess a couple of years ago, that I was working with a group here in Ashland called Transition Ashland. It's a sustainability group, and they got a call and asked us to come to the forum, the multi-town forum that was being held, which was the first I'd even heard of this process. Okay. And I was nominated to speak for Ashland. That was challenging. I wasn't ready, but I was happy to do it. And since that time, you know, last March, we had a large forum at the Ashland Community Center, which was very well attended. We had some of the selectmen there, the town manager, some of our state senator, Karen Spilka, and Tom Sanacandro, both spoke at this. And we really created kind of a momentum to get this project off the ground. And so just toward the end of this past year, the selectmen formed a committee of people. I just want to name the other committee members here, if I can read this. Myself, William Child, Preston Crow, A.J. Gemperline, Rick Hampson, Valerie Paul, and Rob Shearer. So we have a motivated group there to build and achieve the mission. And the mission is very simple. The mission is to design and build Ashland's segment of this regional bike trail. Right. Path, I should call it. That's why I'm frequently corrected on this because I'm primarily a bicyclist. But the real emphasis here of the path, and I don't know whether they were able to show the video, but we have a video on our website showing a film of a guy who actually was bicycling with a camera on his helmet down the path. And what's unique about it is if you stop the video each time he comes upon other people on that trail, it's probably 80% families with kids, little kids. There's a mom with a stroller, there are little kids being taught how to ride their bicycles, and there are elite bicyclists on there, and there are dog walkers and joggers. This is a path that we call a multi-use path that really is for everybody, you know, and the benefits of it are many. Recreation, health and fitness, safety, where kids can do activities and not be on. It's almost like a public park, but it's just long and narrow like that. We also want to try to tie the path into our businesses so that people can get from one section of town to another and stop in for an ice cream or lunch. You know, when right now we have a bicycle club, we go out of town and we always stop for ice cream and lunch. We're regulars in these places.
Isn't that like the prime thing, you know, when you're on a bike ride? I know for our family, we go down to the Cape, we'll use the Cape Cod Trail. We always stop for either ice cream or lunch on our way in or out. So food is definitely a part of the whole thing.
When I send out the notice to people, I send out where we're going, how far it is, and where we're going to eat. and most people don't care about the other stuff. They just want to know where we're going to eat. So yes, it really is a major part of our club rides. And it's, you know, I think, you know, that's how we're looking at this, to be able to attract people from these other communities. Instead of having us go out of town
Right.
and have lunch, we'd love to have them come to our town and frequent our businesses and our restaurants
Right.
and get to know our economic.
So now that we know, the group and your,
Right.
your mission, where are you at with creating the trail?
Great. So our mission was to tie Hopkinton through Ashland to Sherborne. So in looking at that, unlike the other towns, Milford and Holliston, not that it was easy, but they have just one or two pieces of property. They pretty much had to go to the railroads
Right.
on these abandoned rail beds and get an approval to do this.
Right.
In Ashland, we really don't have that. We have a small section of a rail bed along Route 135, but it's been very developed there. And we are looking at maybe we can use that as a little piece of what we're doing, but that's all it would be. We don't
Right.
have the straight shot across town. And so what we've tried to do is establish a set of criteria. We want it to not be on the roads, or as minimally as possible to keep
Right.
it off the roads, and to try to keep it in a natural setting. So what we're trying to do is route the trail from basically Hopkinton State Park or thereabouts, all the way through Ashland. We're hoping to include Ashland State Park as part
Right.
of the scenic beauty that we have there, and then work our way across town to Sherborne.
Okay. Now, I know there's a very small check, and I believe it's the Bay Circuit Trail
Yes.
that runs into 126 through wetlands. Is that part of what you're looking at, possibly including that?
Well, it is. The Bay Circuit Trail runs from near Market Basket all the way to the Sherborne line,
Right.
and we are hoping to use that.
Okay.
It would need to be enhanced. It's,
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
right
it's
now
not-
it's a very
Very
narrow.
narrow, and yeah.
The rest of it remains to be seen. Part of the Bay Circuit Trail goes right through downtown Ashland on Homer Ave.
Right.
So, we could do that, but toward what end? I mean, it's not really the kind of aesthetics we're trying to create, nor is it really safe. I mean, you're gonna, if we do that, if we follow that route, with real discipline, we're gonna be looking at a bike lane in the street there. And that's really not what this is.
Right. That's not what the goal is.
This kind of trail is called a greenway, and the intent of it is to keep it off the roads. And we may not have options in some places, but then if we have to use a road, we
Right.
want it to be the quietest possible side
Right.
street.
Right. Okay. So next steps for your committee. And you came before the Board of Selectmen
Right.
last meeting, sort of gave us some information as to where you are. You have a tentative plan and map for
We do.
the trail.
We do.
So what are your next steps?
Right now, we are still designing the trail as to what can work, what can't work, what are the trade-offs of different pieces. Parts of it are very pinned down, and if we have problems as we explore further, our options are fairly limited. I mean, I wish that weren't the case, but they
Right.
really are. And where we can't make it work for a variety of reasons, we may have to use the public roads at some
Right,
point. We're
right.
trying not to do that. Parts of our trail, however, are very much in flux, especially the center part of the trail. We kind of have figured out the Hopkinton end of things.
Okay.
We kind of have figured out the Sherborne end of things with the Bay Circuit Trail being out here. It's the middle that's challenging. We're hoping to go by the high school at one point. And there's some steep hills there
Right,
and other
right.
factors that we need to take
Right.
into account. So the near-term plan is that I have a meeting scheduled next week with the Ashland Town Planner and also with our conservation agent
Okay.
to get input from them and some guidance from them to work with us and see if we can try to finalize what we would recommend as the route.
Okay, are you going to try and get some public input other than your committee or people that you know? Are you going to try and put it out there and say, okay, give us your feedback as to where you think it should go, or we have scenario A, B, and
Right.
C, things like that?
Right, absolutely. Our next steps also are going to be to meet with different groups in town as much as we can. I mean, we're trying to
Right.
get the word out. That's why I really appreciate your having
Right,
me on
right.
today to speak about this. We're going to be meeting with the school committee, hopefully in the very near future, and many of the other town committees. And then we also want to go out and speak to some of the groups, the Boy Scouts, the Lions, and other
Right,
groups in
right.
town. And what I'm hoping to be able to present to them is, here is our best shot at how it should go. And we're very open. In fact, I just want to mention, we're extremely open to community input.
Good.
Our committee's meetings are the first and third Tuesday every month at 7 p.m., first and third Tuesday in Town Hall. It's not just open to the public, but we have had regular non-committee members sit right at the table with us. We're very informal, and we really ask them to do their best thinking. Come and work with us.
Good.
We'd love to have everybody come and participate.
Yeah, I just know, you were talking about how Holliston and Milford have sort of started in the region, and I know in Holliston they have a very strong Holliston Trails group.
Right.
They have their events, and now, as you said, they have a very unique situation. They have that empty trail bed that goes to the center of town and has these lovely tunnels and things like that. And but I think it brings community together. So I think I like that you're looking to do that here in Ashland, because many people I know go to Milford and drive that trail and starting to go into Holliston. So if we can help close that loop, I think that'd be a great thing.
It very much is our vision. We see this as recreation. We see this as physical fitness.
Right.
We see this as transportation, so kids who don't have driver's licenses or elderly folks can get around the town. Yep. But in the end, what it's really about, and you see this, if you go, I use the other trails in the other towns all the time, it builds community. All of a sudden you're meeting people, everybody's in a good frame of mind because they're out there with this beautiful resource, having a good time, and it really is such a value to the town. Yeah. And that's the message that we need to get out to people and have them understand what we're trying to accomplish and ask for their help.
Good, good. So I know this is your second segment today, but this is the first time I've had you on the show.
Aha.
So, and maybe you've been tipped off on this.
No, I have not.
When I have a new guest that's never been to the show, I always like to ask them a question. And the question is this: is there something about you, Joel Arbeitman, that people in town may not know that you'd be willing to share?
Oh my. Not that I'd be willing to share, no. Let me think about that. Geez, I don't know. People know me pretty well. Yeah, I guess I could say this. I won't go into great detail about this, but I have spent, up until about a year or two ago, where I've gotten much more involved in activities in Ashland, writing. I spend a lot of time doing political writing and political essays. Okay. So without going into the details of the essays.
Anything we might have read or heard, or?
I hope not. No.
We'll have to go Google that now.
Well, yeah, but it's all written under a pen name, so that makes it even trickier.
And you're not going to share that, I bet.
Not here. Perhaps offline. So yeah, I really valued that time that I got to kind of organize all my thinking about many different issues and kind of document it. And I refer back to the writings at times to see how I've evolved and what my thinking was on different issues.
Good. So has it evolved over the years? Has your thinking?
I think it has, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I know the one thing I just would say, I was not always very active locally. In fact, not only didn't I have any idea what was going on, I certainly was not participating in things. And since I've gotten more and more involved, I find I have less and less free time at this point. I'm sure you know the feeling.
It's amazing how that happens.
But I wish I could encourage everyone in town. It's so important because, sometimes we think that, well, the government will take care of that, or they'll hear what I want, or somehow, or I'll complain, whatever it might be that I'm doing. We're it.
We are the government.
If we don't show up and if we don't volunteer, and I know I've talked to people about this and they've said, I really don't know that much about these issues though. And you know what? I didn't either, and nobody did.
Right.
You got to start, the way that you start to learn is by showing up and getting involved. So to the extent that people are listening and they can maybe come to a meeting of some topic that they find interesting, we need you,
Yeah. And I second that, because we are all volunteers, whether it's the Upper Charles or Board of Selectmen or School Committee or Planning Board, some of the bigger name boards that people see, we are all volunteers, and the volunteers are what make Ashland great. Yep. So. Yep,
that's really true.
Yep. Well, Joel, thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your information. And as things move forward on the Upper Charles Trail, I hope to bring you back and we can talk about the progress.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. Maybe our next time we can do a remote as we walk down the trail
There we go.
together.
That would be lovely.
Wouldn't that be great? Okay, thanks again.
Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more Around the Clock.